For holding this important hearing. Mr. Carter, included with your testimony were some articles that tell your story and the creative solutions that you've offered and developed to improve the lives of tenants and communities, and we're very impressed with your story and your commitment to serving these communities. I wanted to ask about how we might attract more private capital in the development of apartments and multifamily housing, as opposed to just always resorting to more taxpayer expenditures. There's a lot of things that we can do, I think, to change the way we do business in this country to attract private capital. And one government program that actually I think does a pretty good job of this is the RAD program. Ms. Todman, I think you may have testified about this earlier. And I'll get to that in a minute. But before we get to that, could you expand a little bit on your testimony about the changes to the retooling of the Community Reinvestment Act that could really help in this regard?
Well, I would say the first one would be that the old assessment districts aren't necessarily aligned to where the need is. And so there are certain banks that say, well, I can't invest there because my assessment district is here. And the reality of it is, it would be great that if it's affordable housing that serves an underserved market, wherever it is, that the banks get credit for it.
Let me ask also about your testimony about opportunity zones. There's a lot of investors that are very interested in this, but I think there's still some uncertainty with the Treasury rollout. As you look at this, at the tax bill, are opportunity zones, tell me how opportunity zones are going to attract private capital, and are the rules that you're seeing so far, are they positioned to attract that private capital?
I would say yes. I think there was a big uncertainty that came out of it last week. One of the issues, though, is the challenge in developing new things, and the time frames are very, very. The opportunity zone legislation requires that we get things processed quickly, where there's certainty as to what fees and things are there, which doesn't exist today, and that's where we have to get the...
So maybe a message to the local governments is, look at those opportunity zones, look at your local regulations,
yes, sir,
and match those up.
Yes, sir.
That could really help supercharge the opportunity zones.
Yes, sir.
In my district, we have an outstanding community leader, P.G. Peoples, who is the CEO of the Lexington Urban League, and a city council member, also James Brown, who is, they both come to me and talk to me about the need for more affordable housing, and yet at the same time, the problem of gentrification. Can you talk a little bit about how we can do some of these things to invite more private capital, to revitalize opportunity zones in other neighborhoods without the problem of displacement?
Well, I think that's the key. We have to be inclusive. We have to keep people who are there, and we have to me, we have to add additional levels of income to a community to make it viable. I believe that a diversity of incomes will make a stronger community. We own mixed income properties. I can tell you where we range from 50%, 40% of AMI to market rate units. And those are some of our most successful communities.
Great, and Ms. Todman, back to you on RAD. The Lexington Housing Authority is a moving to work jurisdiction. They're doing some great things. Austin Sims leads that agency. I don't know if you know Austin,
yeah, Mr. Sims,
but they're taking advantage of RAD. Yes. And RAD is a great opportunity to take old, dilapidated public housing stock, invite private investment, which is great for those tenants, and convert those into project-based Section 8. To me, this sounds like a great way to both rehab our existing public housing stock while at the same time, save some taxpayer dollars and invite more private capital in.
Sure. So Mr. Sims is a colleague of mine, and he's able to marry two programs, RAD and Moving to Work, and have it be used to increase the capital, increase the improvements in his units. But that is sometimes unique to agencies like in Lexington that have all of those tools in the toolkit. For a fair amount of our members, RAD, as powerful a tool as it is and as successful as it can be, it is not always always a tool for all agencies. And so I think an infusion of capital funds will help those agencies. And for those who can use RAD and capitalize on it, it's a tool for the future.
Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you. The gentlewoman from Massachusetts.